When Anna hit the "Terminate Employee" button in the company's HR system, her janitor's uniform was still hanging on the back of her chair, right there, in the executive boardroom where, 15 years ago, they told her she was too naive for business. The room was just as she remembered it. Cold glass walls, untouched espresso machine, the scent of rich mahogany from the conference table that nobody used except for investor calls. Same skyline view. Same arrogant air. But this time, Anna wasn't here to clean it. This time, she was here to reclaim it. Earlier that morning, she had walked through the sleek glass doors of Green Tech Solutions, just like she did every morning for the last decade and a half. Only this time, she wasn't carrying her mop. She was wearing a navy blue blazer, black heels, and the quiet smirk of a woman who had waited exactly long enough. Most employees didn't even recognize her. The front desk associate greeted her with a stiff, polite, "Can I help you?" before faltering. "Wait, are you?" Anna didn't answer. She just smiled. The CEO, Brian Caldwell, was already in the boardroom. He liked to get there early. Power move. Dominance. All the usual corporate alpha nonsense. Anna walked in, heels clicking against the polished floor, and placed a small folder on the table. He looked up with a frown. "Janitor's closet is downstairs," he said, half joking, half mocking. Anna opened the folder and slid the documents toward him. A death certificate. A will. A shareholder transfer agreement. And most importantly, an updated ownership report showing her name. At the top. Brian's face dropped. "Is this some kind of joke?" Anna sat down across from him. "I've been scrubbing floors in this building longer than you've had your Tesla. You really think I did that because I had to?" She leaned forward, quiet and calm. "I own 51% of this company." Brian stood up, knocking over his coffee. "That's impossible. That's not how this works." Anna didn't blink. "Check the signature. My father's. The founder. You remember him, don't you? The guy whose vision you've been gutting for 15 years. Brian's hands trembled as he flipped through the papers, each line more damning than the last. He looked up, pale. "What do you want?" Anna stood, buttoning her blazer. "To clean house." She turned to leave, her voice echoing in the boardroom. "Starting with you." She hadn't heard that voice in over a decade. Low, sharp, with that same calculating calm. The kind that didn't yell, it didn't need to. It always cut clean. Anna turned slowly. Standing in the doorway, arms crossed, was Marissa Blake. Chief Legal Officer of Green Tech. Her father's former protege. And the one who'd handed Anna the recommendation to step aside all those years ago. Marissa hadn't aged much, same precision-cut silver bob, same designer heels, same habit of tilting her head slightly when she was about to destroy someone. "I wondered how long you'd wait," Marissa said, stepping inside. 15 years. That's commitment. Or is it revenge? Anna didn't answer. She just stared at the woman who once smiled while helping sign her out of her own legacy. "You think walking in here with some dusty old documents gives you the right to fire the CEO?" Marissa circled the table slowly. "Do you know how many legal firewalls we've built since your father died? How much money's behind this place now?" Anna finally spoke. Her voice was calm. "I'm not interested in money." Marissa smirked. "That's why you'll lose." She slid into a chair, crossed her legs, and looked up at Anna like a school principal facing a stubborn student. "You've got paperwork. Cute. But Green Tech isn't just a company anymore. It's an ecosystem. And ecosystems don't like earthquakes." Anna stepped closer. "I'm not here to cause one," she said. "I am the earthquake." Marissa's smirk twitched, just a little. Anna leaned in. "Tell your investors. Tell the board. As of this morning, I'm in control. And if you try to block this, you'll be going down with Brian. Marissa's face finally shifted. Something behind the eyes, hesitation. Or calculation. Anna turned and walked toward the elevator. As the doors closed, her pulse finally spiked. Her hand trembled slightly. She hadn't expected Marissa. Not this soon. Not this strong. Not this cold. But she'd prepared for this. For all of them. Every floor she'd cleaned, every late-night conversation she overheard, every mistake they thought no one noticed, she filed it away like a quiet storm building pressure. Today, she wasn't just fighting for her father's company. She was fighting them all. As the elevator descended, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. You have no idea what you've just walked into. Turn back. Now. Anna stared at the screen. Then the elevator stopped on a floor she hadn't pressed. And the doors began to open. The elevator doors slid open with a soft ding. But what lay beyond them wasn't a floor she recognized. No reception desk. No cubicles. Just dim lighting, silence, and a long corridor with frosted glass walls. There was no button for this floor on the panel. Anna stepped out cautiously, heels echoing on the smooth concrete. The air was cooler here, untouched by the everyday bustle above. Clean. Sterile. Like a part of the building no one was meant to see. She passed a door marked R&D Archives, restricted access. Another, Internal Ops. Then one that made her stop in her tracks. Legacy Division. Anna's heart thudded. Her father had mentioned a secret project, something he was working on before the board pushed him out. He called it Project Ember. Said it would change everything. Said it was the soul of green tech. She thought it was just one of his dreamer ideas. The keypad on the door blinked red. Locked. Anna reached into her blazer pocket, pulling out the old security card she'd kept all these years. Her father's badge, a relic she wore like a memory. She slid it through the reader. Beep. Click. The door unlocked. Inside, the room was cold and dark, the walls lined with filing cabinets and server racks. But what caught her eye was the center table, a large touchscreen console displaying schematics, data streams, and something else. A live internal communication feed. Anna leaned in. There were real-time messages. Hundreds. Private chat logs. Internal ops. Hidden channels between top execs. And one open conversation labeled simply. The Purge Plan. She tapped it. If she activates the ownership clause, we move immediately. Control the narrative. Seal the archives. Discredit her background. Initiate Phase 2 if necessary. Attached was a photo of her. Wearing the janitor uniform. Time-stamped. Tagged, Asset 37, unstable. Her stomach dropped. They weren't just unprepared for her return. They were prepared for her downfall. Then, the lights flickered. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. Anna's head snapped up. She wasn't alone anymore. A voice came through the intercom in the corner of the room. Calm. Familiar. I warned you, Anna. You were supposed to stay where we put you. The door behind her began to close automatically. Locking in. The door slammed shut behind her with a heavy thunk, sealed. Anna spun around, heart racing, eyes scanning for anything that could help. No keypad. No manual override. The room was a vault. The intercom crackled again. You shouldn't have gone digging, Anna. Now we have to clean up. That voice. Marissa. Calm. Flat. Unapologetic. Anna swallowed hard. Her mind raced. The room was lined with old tech, server terminals, and tangled cables. No windows. No exits. But there had to be something. She turned back to the console. The live feed was gone. Wiped. But one folder remained, not hidden, not encrypted. Just sitting there. Ember, final build. She opened it. Schematics. Power grids. Environmental models. Projections. And one video, timestamped 14 years ago. She hit play. Her father appeared on screen, seated in the same room. He looked tired, his eyes darker than she remembered. The weight of betrayal had already begun to show. If you're seeing this, Anna, they've buried me. Not literally, I hope. But if Ember was silenced, that means they turned green tech into something we never meant it to be. He took a breath. Ember wasn't just energy tech. It was decentralized. Clean. Unstoppable. And that scared them. It threatened the entire industry. So they made a deal. With oil giants. With government friends. They sold me out. He leaned forward. I left everything you need right here. But once you open this, there's no walking back. They'll come for you. They'll lie, manipulate, erase your name if they have to. So the question is, do you really want the truth, Anna? The video ended. The screen went black. For a long moment, she stood in silence. Then she whispered to herself. I already do. She turned back to the console, but now a warning flashed in red. Intrusion detected. Files purging in 60 seconds. They found her. They were wiping everything. Anna's fingers flew across the screen. She shoved a flash drive into the terminal. 47%. 63%. 81%. The intercom buzzed again. You've made your choice. Now we'll make ours. As the transfer hit 100%, the emergency lights cut out. Darkness. Then a hiss behind her. The ventilation panel popped open. And a figure crawled in, whispering. If you want to live long enough to finish what your father started, come with me. Now. Anna didn't hesitate. She grabbed the flash drive, shoved it into her jacket, and dove toward the vent. The stranger's hand pulled her up, and in just as the room behind them exploded in a shower of sparks and heat. Crawling through the narrow duct, Anna could barely make out the person ahead, just a lean figure in black, moving fast and silent. They finally dropped down into a dark maintenance corridor beneath the building. The floor buzzed with energy. Somewhere above them, alarms blared. The stranger turned. A flashlight clicked on. A young woman. Late 20s. Short hair. Grease-stained jacket. Smart eyes. Name's Riley, she said, voice low. Systems engineer. Well, was. Until they flagged me. Anna blinked. Flagged you for what? Riley grinned. Asking the wrong questions. Just like you. They moved fast through the underbelly of the building, servers hummed behind locked cages, unseen pipelines pulsed with power. It was a skeleton nobody upstairs knew existed. You're not the first to try and fight them, Riley said, ducking under a hanging cable. But you're the first with enough leverage to matter. Anna clutched the flash drive in her jacket. They'll come after me. They already are, Riley replied. And they've got dirt. Manufactured, but good enough to stick. HR files. Financial inconsistencies. They're going to make it look like you embezzled millions and framed the CEO to cover it up. Anna stopped. Her stomach twisted. They'll turn me into the villain. Riley nodded. That's how they survive. Control the story, control the outcome. Anna looked up at the ceiling above them. She could almost hear the footsteps of execs pacing boardrooms, PR teams drafting statements, Marissa pulling strings. But she wasn't alone anymore. "Where are we going?" she asked. Riley stopped in front of a heavy steel door. "No labels. Just a keypad." "To someone who knew your father," she said, punching in a code. "Someone who's been waiting for this day longer than you." The door opened with a hiss. Inside was a room lit by soft amber lights, filled with dusty monitors, blueprints, old tech, and in the center, sitting in a worn leather chair, was a man. Gray beard. Tired eyes. But when he looked up, Anna saw something spark behind them. "You look just like him," he said. She froze. "You knew my father?" He stood slowly. "I built Ember with your father." Then he added, quietly. "And I know who really killed him." Anna stared at the man in front of her. "You knew my father?" she asked, barely breathing. He nodded. "I was his co-founder. His best friend. His mistake." That last word hit like a stone. The man gestured toward a bench cluttered with dusty hard drives and crumpled schematics. "Sit. You need to hear this before the rest of them find you." Anna sat down, her legs shaky. Riley stood nearby, arms crossed, watching. "My name's Elijah Park. I was there when green tech was just a wild dream in a garage. Your father, Ray, he wasn't just a visionary. He was dangerous to the people who built their empires on dirty power." Anna nodded. "He told me about Ember. That it could replace the grid." Elijah laughed bitterly. "Replace it? Anna. Ember could free it. Infinite energy, decentralized, untraceable. No corporations. No bills. Just pure, renewable power in every home." "And they buried it," Anna whispered. "No," Elijah said. "We buried it. Me and Marissa and the others. We sold out." He stood, paced. "The energy lobby offered us billions to kill the project. Your father refused. They said he was a liability. They wanted him gone." Anna's throat tightened. "Gone how?" Elijah looked up. His voice was barely audible now. "Not a heart attack. Not natural. They engineered it. Poisoned him. Slowly. Quietly. So it wouldn't be questioned." Silence crashed into the room. Anna's hands clenched. She felt cold rage rise like a tide. "He trusted you," she said, eyes locked on Elijah. "And you let them kill him?" "I didn't know," Elijah said quickly. "Not at first. But when I did, I ran. I've been underground ever since, waiting for someone who could finish what he started." Riley stepped forward. "You're that someone, Anna." Anna stared at the old schematics on the wall, Ember's design, her father's signature scrawled in the corner. She saw herself in it. All those nights he explained things she was too young to understand, it all came back now. But she wasn't a little girl anymore. She was the owner. She was the threat. Anna stood up. "Then show me how to bring Ember online." Suddenly, a metal bang echoed through the hallway outside. Riley drew a small pistol. Elijah froze. Then came the voice, filtered, mechanical, echoing from a speaker in the wall. "You can't resurrect a ghost, Anna. You can only join him." And the lights shut off. The lights died with a snap, plunging the room into silence. Not darkness, the kind of calculated silence that told Anna it wasn't a power outage. It was a warning. They'd found her. Riley moved fast, activating a backup power cell that lit the room with a dim red glow. Shadows stretched across the walls like claws. "We have 2, maybe 3 minutes," she said, checking the pistol. "They're not sending lawyers this time." Anna turned to Elijah. We need Ember. Now. He nodded, already moving to the wall, unlocking a hidden compartment. Inside was a sleek black case, unlike anything else in the room, newer, untouched by time. This is the prototype, he said. Portable, fully operational. Built to bypass centralized grids. He placed it gently on the table. Once this goes live, it sends a signal. They'll know. Let them, Anna said. She connected her flash drive to the Ember core, watching data stream into the system, her father's code merging with hers. She could feel it, something alive in the way the interface responded. Suddenly, a panel on the wall exploded inward. Tactical boots hit the floor. Two men in black advanced, rifles up. No insignia. No questions. Just orders. Riley didn't hesitate, she fired twice. One went down. The other ducked behind a server rack, shouting into a headset. Asset is live. Repeat, Ember is live. Permission to terminate. Anna grabbed the prototype. We have to move. Elijah yelled. But the screen behind them lit up with one final message. Primary node active. Ember signal transmitted. Then another. She's done it. Anna froze. Wait, who sent that? The words disappeared. Then a new message appeared, different font, older code. One she hadn't seen in years. Hey, kiddo. If you're reading this, you finished it. Dad. Her chest cracked open. Her throat tightened. She felt like she was 16 again, staring at the stars from the back porch while he talked about saving the world. Anna. Riley pulled her back. Move. They ran. Through corridors lit by gunfire. Down back halls Elijah swore no one remembered. Ember in her hands, glowing now, pulsing with power, like it wanted to be seen. They burst through a service exit, out into the night. Helicopters circled the building. Sirens howled in the distance. But Anna didn't stop. They couldn't stop her now. She held in her hands the thing they'd buried. And it was alive. Across the city, in a glass tower lined with servers, Marissa Blake stood with her arms crossed, watching the signal bloom across global networks. Behind her, Brian Caldwell stepped out of the shadows. She's gone rogue, he said. Marissa smiled. No. She's declared war. The sun rose over Seattle like it hadn't in years, clear, sharp, golden. And for the first time in 15 years, Anna Miller wasn't walking into green tech through the side entrance. She walked through the front doors. No mop. No badge. No fake smile. Just purpose. Behind her, Riley walked with a duffel over her shoulder, Ember. Fully charged. Fully operational. Elijah had gone dark again, his role complete. He gave her everything she needed, the tech, the truth, and the keys to a legacy everyone tried to erase. News trucks crowded the street. Drones hovered. Security barely moved, they'd already been briefed. Because the world knew now. The Ember signal had gone live last night, hitting open-source energy forums, activist feeds, rogue engineering networks. What was once buried in a locked server room now belonged to everyone. They couldn't hide it anymore. As Anna stepped into the boardroom, the same one where they once told her she didn't belong, the executives were already seated, silent, pale. Marissa sat at the head of the table, her composure perfect as ever. But her eyes were different now. Not power. Not fear. Something between respect and hatred. Anna placed the Ember core at the center of the table. It pulsed quietly, humming like a heart. This is the future, Anna said, voice steady. And we're not selling it. We're giving it away. Murmurs broke out. Marissa raised a hand. You realize what that means? Billions in losses. Government lawsuits. You'll take this whole company down. No, Anna said. I'll take it back to what it was supposed to be. She tapped the stack of papers in front of her, legal transfers, patent releases, an official announcement of GreenTech's shift to open-source decentralization. Brian stood, fuming. You can't do this. Anna turned to him calmly. You don't work here anymore. She handed him his termination papers, signed, sealed, and broadcast live on every screen in the building. Riley hit the button. Cameras activated. News feeds lit up. Every shareholder, employee, investor, and doubter saw it happen in real time. Anna Miller, former janitor, True Air, new CEO, had just fired the man who stole everything. And gave the world something greater in return. The first Ember unit powered a school in Detroit. The second? A clinic in rural India. Then villages, shelters, homes off the grid. It spread like wildfire. Anna never took a dime. She just smiled when people asked why. I cleaned their floors for 15 years, she said once on camera. Now I'm cleaning their system. And when she stood in front of the rebuilt boardroom, where her father's blueprints now hung on the walls, someone asked her what title she preferred. CEO? Founder? Engineer? She thought for a moment. Then smiled. Just call me the janitor.